Aloha. I am so excited to be here with you today to talk about soul freedom. I am very lucky to be able to use my soul in the work that I do. And I wish I was there to feel the trade winds in person, but that will have to wait until October when I come to lead a retreat for widows in your beautiful space. You know, this materialistic world of ours does not value individuality. Unless you're one of those lucky few whose income is in the top 1%, our society wants you to be a worker bee, a hamster on a wheel. The world's goal is for you to fit in, to be on that wheel until the day you die. So you're molded through your schooling to learn what everyone else knows, to say what everyone else wants you to say. And then when you're finished with your education, to take your place on that hamster wheel and start running for your life so that you can do your part for the economy. That's what the world wants you to do with your life. But your soul is another matter. The great I am who created you doesn't share our economy's value system. God doesn't care about your GPA or your GNP or your income to debt ratio. God cares about your happiness and your soul. And when you set your soul free, you come alive. You begin to live from a very different place, a place where your soul can live its purpose. The dumbing down and the numbing down of our society often means that it takes something really big to wake our souls up. We often have to be shocked out of our worker bee slumber before our souls can be really free. Let me tell you a story from my own life. My husband and I, we were very good little worker bees. We owned two businesses together and we had one child. Now, in addition to being a good businessman and a great father, my husband was also an extreme athlete. And he did not have an ounce of body fat on his muscular 6'2" frame. He looked a little like Rhett Butler with his jet black hair and mustache and his huge big blue eyes and his southern voice that was like warm molasses. Oh, he was a great guy. He just had one little fault. He was from Alabama. So he didn't know how to do housework because it's against the law for men to do housework in Alabama. Now he could take a vacuum cleaner apart and he could put it back together. He just couldn't plug it in and run it over a carpet. So on New Year's Day, 2011, when he told me that evening that he was going to vacuum the house, I thought he had the flu and was delirious or something. Until he handed me a glass of wine and told me to relax and explain that it was our 15-year-old son who was going to vacuum the house. That did not go over very well. Our son drug his dad out into the hall and he said, "Dad, what are you doing? You're going to ruin everything with Mom." And then the big buck and the little buck locked horns out in the hall. And when it was all over, the little buck plugged in his earbuds and vacuumed the carpet. And then things got better. My husband said that instead of watching Alabama play in a bowl game somewhere, that we were all going to go to bed at 10 o'clock that night. I was so happy. I was singing while I brushed my teeth. Happy New Year to me. Happy New Year to me. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to me. Ooh. I got some fine Southern loving that night and I fell asleep in his big, strong arms. But then about midnight, I awoke to a strange strangling noise. And I said, "Honey, are you okay?" But he didn't answer me. So I flipped on the light and I saw that he couldn't answer me because his tongue was turned upside down in his mouth and he was grabbing his throat with both hands. And I didn't know what was happening, but I knew it was way bigger than me. So I grabbed the phone and I dialed 911. And because I live in a very, very small town, everybody showed up. The firemen, the police, the paramedics, the state troopers, they were all there. And it was a good thing they were there because it took 5 grown men to wrestle my husband out of that bed and strap him to a gurney. Mission, this is EMS 4. Do you copy? Copy that, 4. We have a 55-year-old white male, possible CVA. Do you copy? Copy that, 4. Transport hot. We'll be ready for you. And off they went. Well, when my son and I got to the hospital, they sent the chaplain out to meet us. That's never a good thing. And the doctors told me that my husband was having a massive stroke, that he had a 5.5-inch clot lodged in his left carotid artery, and that they did not know if he would survive the surgery that they needed to do to pull that clot out. And that even if he did make it through the night, that massive clot had already broken loose and was lodged in different parts of his brain, and that the man on that gurney would not be the man that I had known at 10 o'clock that night. And when I heard those words, my soul was shocked, wide awake. And I knew in that moment that my life would never be the same. And it wasn't. My husband never worked again. And then 10 months later, after all the therapy and doctor's visits and hospitalizations and tests and tests and tests, it happened again on the night of my birthday. Only this time, it was so massive, there was nothing the doctors could do. And that's how I became a widow at age 55, with a 16-year-old son to raise on my own. And my life, my life was a hot mess. But my soul was wide awake. In the space of a breath, everything in my life changed. I went from loving wife to widow. I went from financially secure to wondering how I would make it. I went from co-parenting to solo parenting, and from all those fun invitations from other couples and parents to being alone all the time. And that's when I went to this really dark place called Gone. All widows go there. And I felt like a blind cavefish in the dark. But my soul was wide awake. And even though I was grieving, I began to realize some things. I realized I didn't want to publish magazines anymore. I mean, writing about the latest fashion or new cars, it just didn't seem important anymore. And then I realized that our son wasn't getting the support he needed. He was a teenager, a super achiever, pushing himself through his last few years of high school. He was under a lot of pressure, and he was grieving too. And he needed me more than ever. And I realized he was a priority in my life. Now, once my soul was wide awake, suddenly the things that I had been so hyper focused on no longer seemed very important. And frankly, I was too tired from all the trauma to sweat the small stuff. So my motto became, if no one's dying, we're fine. And that's when I realized that for probably the last 30 years, I had been a stranger to my own soul, my friends. I had abandoned myself to the economy of the world. And as the curtains closed in around me in that place called gone, I took in a deep breath and decided to focus my energy on my soul, on my happiness. So I started taking yoga. Love me some yoga. And I learned how to release stress with meditation. Because I'm going to tell you what, widowhood is pretty damn stressful. I changed my diet. I started taking long walks in nature because in nature, I felt like I was communing with the divine. And as I did that, I began to see things that I had been too busy to see before, like the little ironies of life. You know the ones I mean. And things like butterflies drinking nectar from flowers or the minute by minute unfolding of spring. So I started blogging and podcasting about what I was discovering because I wanted to inspire others to look for those tiny miracles too by sharing my journey. Because once I was wide awake, I realized our souls, your soul, my soul, we need beauty just to stay alive. And as my soul began to recover from all those years of abandonment, I began to heal. And that's when I discovered something else. I wasn't the only one who needed help reclaiming and freeing their soul. And I wanted to do something about that too. So that's when I started leading retreats and working with other grievers. And then I decided to become a certified grief recovery specialist. And I took my training and my certification for that. And ironically, what led me to my soul's freedom and the work that I do now, like the work that I'm coming to Hawaii to do with you, what led me to that freedom was the biggest loss of my life. Here's the thing. We're all grieving something, especially now, yes, after COVID. So now I do the work of my soul's purpose. Writing and podcasting about the miracles that make up real life, not economic life, real life. And you can find my podcast at A Widow's Tale and my blog at donnamarietodd.com. And my brain gets to think about grammar and spelling just like it did when I produced magazines, but my mind doesn't get to lead this work. My soul does. And the only reason I can do the storytelling work that I am doing now is that my husband's stroke shocked my soul back awake. And once your soul is awake, it's really hard to go back to sleep again, isn't it? So I don't want you to buy into the societal lie that you are what you produce or you are what you wear or what you buy, because that's not true. That's not who you are. You are a beautiful and unique soul, brought to live in this world by the Creator who formed you and loves you. Your heart holds something very unique and special inside. Inside your soul is the purpose for your life. So keep nourishing your soul by worshiping here. And let the freedom of your soul support the others who walk this earth with you but are not yet awake. Let your soul guide your life to freedom. Nourish your soul, feed it, hold it, comfort it, and then share it. Because when you share your soul with the world, your very essence encourages everyone you meet to come alive. Aloha. I so look forward to meeting you all come October.